Abby Andrew back today for another live stream here on René of Paris. Today we are going to have an alopecia guest joining us very shortly. Always very excited to have these types of segments here on René of Paris because it's really great to have a conversation about not only wigs, but of course other experiences that might lead to someone wearing wigs in some cases. So hair loss, in my case I have alopecia, and we're going to have another alopecia guest on with us today. And I really love having these conversations because it's an opportunity to discuss similar experiences and also sometimes some different experiences that we've had and how we can kind of come together in this community with hair loss or just wig wearing if you don't have hair loss. So I'm just going to wait a moment for her to join our live stream, but let's see, I believe she just sent a request. Let's go ahead and add her in.
Hey.
Hello, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today on this live stream with René of Paris.
Very excited to be on.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on and just have this conversation about everything. So if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself to everyone for starters.
So I am Jane, I am 30 and I am from Ireland, and I have alopecia. There's so many types, I don't even know what I am at the moment, but totalis I think I am at this stage, but it changes the whole time. But at this stage it's alopecia totalis, which means completely bald on my head, and unfortunately everywhere else has hair, legs and everything. So still have to shave.
Have hair and vice versa.
Yeah, it's like, can I choose where I don't have hair? But
yeah.
no, apparently not.
Everyone's like, oh, you're so lucky you don't have to shave. I'm like, well, that's not really
Yeah,
true.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned not being sure which type you have, because I'm actually in the same boat. I think for the longest time I had more of areata, but now I think I'm more in the totalis realm because I have no hair in my head, but like some hair up like on my body and stuff. What about eyebrows and eyelashes? Do you have eyebrows and lashes as well?
No, I had my eyebrows went first. Well, I went bald first, and then my eyebrows went about 7 years ago. And then I had a baby. Well, he's not a baby anymore, but I had a child 6 years ago, and my eyelashes completely went. Wow. They just went. Yeah, and I had them the whole time. So I think that was more of a shock than the actual hair, because I did not know how to put them on with glue. I was like, what am I going to do? But eventually mastered the art through other alopecians online. But yeah, no, I think that was the shocker, was the eyelashes.
Yeah, like, that's really interesting to say, because I guess with hair loss, wigs are pretty easy to adapt to and start wearing. But with lashes, sometimes it is a bit of a process to learn how to put the glue on properly and get it in your eye all the time, and figuring out the lash style as well, like not getting ones that are like giant bat wings.
Yeah, yeah, spiders. Yes.
Yeah, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So let me rewind to the beginning of your alopecia story and kind of start from when it started. When did you first develop alopecia?
So I only realized recently. It was a lot earlier than I thought. Originally, like my memories would have been when I was maybe 8 or 9, but I actually I had big bald patches. Now that I look back on pictures, when I was 4 or 5, there was massive ones there, and I was like, how was I just not aware of this, or did I just not care? But no, it was like when I was, I'd say 8 or 9, it was like I was in I remember it so clearly because I was in a toy master, which is like a toy shop in Ireland, and I was just looking around or whatever, and 2 girls come up to me, and I didn't understand what they were saying because they were speaking a different language, and they were basically like picking up my hair and pointing, and I was like, what? So mom kind of had to have the conversation with me then. I think she obviously knew, but I just was completely oblivious to it. But that was when I remember. So I was about 8 or 9, and then that I had alopecia areata for years, until I'd say I was completely bald probably about 18. I went completely bald, or 19, and at 15 I started wearing wigs. Yeah, like it just seemed to be something that progressed. So it was just like kind of, but you know what, like when it was bad enough when there was the patches, because like it was getting to the point where I couldn't cover it, like I just couldn't. And I suppose
so for most of those years in between, would you mostly just have your rest of your hair trying to cover the spots?
Yeah, like little bobby pins, and it was disastrous. Like it wasn't working. People were noticing, and you know, people can be cruel. So it was a big thing for me, and like I tried to hide it for as long as I could, but that it just physically wasn't possible. And then I suppose when I started wearing wigs, they were just terrible. Like, I think, you know, you just kind of, you go in and you don't know what you need or whatever. And I remember the first wig I was given and the woman was like, it's gorgeous, was like a thick mop on my head. So I went from having no hair, like barely any, to this thick mop. Everyone knew, like, you know, and it was just, it was disastrous. But no, I'm glad now the wig wearing has has come, you know, the different styles and things has evolved
Yeah,
massively.
it's definitely a bit of a learning curve sometimes, but it's really nice to have this online
Yeah,
community now where you can kind of research different wig styles and kind of see what they look like on an actual person. And I know you post a
yeah,
lot of content with your wigs, and that is exactly what helps other people figure out what a style looks like
yeah.
in real
I
life.
remember when I first started, kind of, I always went in and I got them in a wig shop, and I was kind of thinking to myself, like, I'd love to be able to buy online, but I just wouldn't have the courage. And I kind of looked up videos. And when I was doing that, that was years ago, there was nothing. Like, there was really nothing. And I was like, God, I don't understand why someone wouldn't put up videos of them wearing wigs.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until lockdown that, like, I think it was because I had told everyone, like, not that most people probably already knew, but I told everyone, and I was able to kind of add people on Instagram, because if I was adding these people, I felt like, oh my God, somebody's going to know. And then I saw that there was all this group, this alopecia community out there that were already doing this, and I was like, this is what I need. Because, you know, everyone's, I suppose with wigs, like, everyone's price range is so different, and it can depend on the time and you know how much you have to spend on a wig. And seeing people with different ranges, different styles, you know, and seeing it on a person is so much different. It's like a clothing item. Like, if you don't see it on someone, it could look terrible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you can see someone actually wearing it, actually doing things with it, you know, okay, that's a safe bet, and I feel a bit more, you know, eased into doing it. So I was like, okay, I want to do this as well. My very first wig review was actually Riley, René of
Oh yeah,
Paris.
I love
And
René. Hmm.
I just, oh, I loved her. I was just, she was like, oh, Bernie colour. And I just absolutely loved her. And she gave me so much confidence. And I was like, do you know what? I'll do it. I think it was nearly 20 minutes long, the review. It was ridiculous.
Just so much to
But
say.
yeah, I was like, what
Mhm.
do I do here? I was so awkward. But I was like, it got easier each time. And then it was like, I was always doing it. So it was just, you know, it became fun.
Yeah, and it's so nice to see how the online world of wigs has just grown, even since like with the last couple years, really. Like I feel like originally it was just like a handful of channels that would make videos about wigs, and now it seems to be so many. And the more, the better, because then you can really see what it looks like on a lot of different people. Different people have different
Yeah.
wig colors, and you can really kind of see what it's like in real life and not just in a picture.
Yeah, like we're wearing the same wig now, and it's just so funny because, like, because they're different colors and because we've a style differently, it just you know, it's the Arden wig, by the way, that we're wearing.
Yes.
For anyone, it's a stunning wig. It's very chic and very summery, and I do think it's one that you can kind of style up. I've worn it up, I've worn it down, and it's just one that, like, really snugs your head.
Hmm.
You know, like, it, you know, it's, I think some of them, they're a bit like, you still have to wear a bit of tape or something, just because sometimes they lift, but this just, it's like hand tied nearly, because it really, like, hugs your head.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I really like, because I just think that you're more secure in it then, and you're not kind of rooting with it or anything. It's stuck. You can go on a
Yeah.
roller coaster. It's
So for
stuck.
anyone that's not familiar with different lines with René of Paris, this is Arden from the Amore Collection, which is specifically made for people with hair loss. So you don't necessarily have to have hair loss to wear them, but it has a lot of features that really help it fit your head nicely. Obviously, all of our wigs are adjustable, but it is just extra comfortable wearing directly on a shaved head. So I wear my wigs directly on my shaved head. Do you wear a wig cap or anything underneath?
I never wore, like, a wig grip, and then I got a really good one from a company, My Beautiful Wigs. They gave me a wig grip, and I was able to use it then. I was like, because I never would have worn them. I would, like, it just feels a lot more secure with them. But I feel this one, I have worn this one a few times without a wig grip. It is actually one that you can wear, because as you're saying, like, it really does kind of fit into your head. But it's great when you have that, because sometimes when it's really hot, you don't want to wear the wig grip or the wig caps, because they add to the heat.
An added layer of
Yeah,
heat, especially when it's really
exactly,
hot.
exactly.
Yeah, so it looks so lovely on you, by the way. So what's the color that you have?
This is, I have it here because I forget it. It's chocolate frost. And I like when I was looking along line at the colours, I was like, I usually just go for bright, bright, bright. And I was like, look, we'll go for a little something, we'll give it a bit of, you know, highlights and stuff. And I just really like it. And people were just like, people seem to really like it. And they were like, oh, I like lighter colours than you. Like I'm very, like I would have originally, my bio hair was dark brown. So that's kind of where my comfort goes, and I go to there. But it's so lovely, like just kind of be able to change.
Yeah, definitely.
You probably find
Experimenting
yourself
with
like,
highlights and things is such a
yeah,
nice way to kind of like dip your toe outside of your comfort zone without going for a completely
exactly,
drastically different color, and it looks so lovely on
exactly.
you.
People to be like, if I'm ever going anywhere, people are like, oh, what are you going to wear? And I'm like, I never worry about that. I'm like, what wig am I going to wear? It's like, do you know what I mean? Whatever, because it just changes an outfit. And like years ago, I suppose it was something that I felt I had to wear, and I didn't like wearing them. But now it's like nearly like an accessory and just kind of, you know, an extension of a personality. And I think it really is something that gives you a lot of confidence. And you know, you can just decide whoever you're going to be today. Like, I could be wearing 3 different wigs today. I'd say people think I'm crazy, like, but sure, why not? You
So are you
know,
generally someone that changes your wigs on an almost daily basis, or do you like to have one go-to wig? What is your kind of wig wearing style?
I have like one, I suppose, go-to wig that I would wear like if I was doing training, if I was doing, you know, I train football, if I was training football, or if I was going for a walk or something like that. It's like a really easy one, and the hairline isn't the best, so I kind of put my cap over it and I'm grand and I'm going. And then if I wanted something more, you know, if I was going somewhere, something kind of something like this that could actually style, and that like has a much better hairline and that you can kind of shape to whatever way you want, that would be what I want. Like I tend to, as I say, like it depends what I'm wearing and things like that, and then I just basically go with that. But I could, as I say, wake up, I could be dropping my son down to the school balls, and then I'll come back and I'll be wearing a different wig, and then hours later if I'm going training there'll be another wig. So I'd say people for a while were like, what's going on with this girl? What's like, they wouldn't have known, and they were probably like, what's going on? But everyone seems to know now, so it's grand. I had no choice but to learn.
Yeah, so
you know,
do you find that the way people find out that you wear wigs, first of all, are you very open with people in your life telling them about it, or do you prefer to keep it kind of
I
private?
wouldn't have been until about 4 years ago. The reason I kind of started, I literally just put up a ball picture one night. I was like, I'm doing it. It was like 12 o'clock at night, because like my son was kind of starting to ask about it and stuff. He was like over 2 at the time, and he was kind of saying, you know, and I just didn't want to make it an issue for him. And also I just felt like it would be good for people around him, like younger children, to kind of see this and get to grips with it and things, because I never would have seen anyone with alopecia when I was younger. So I thought it so strange. So now I literally make it took a while to get there, but I made it my mission to kind of step by step, like go to the school balls and go train a ball, to do these things, because you know all the kids had questions at the beginning, but they just don't care. And I think that's so good, because like they would have had the chats with their parents then, and their parents would have had the chats with them, and maybe their parents hadn't a clue what alopecia was. And then I'd be very open on both my Facebook and my Instagram page, and I kind of have 2 different sets of people on those. And you know, they just seem to, people never, sometimes people do ask you, and I nearly prefer when they ask you, because I'm like, you know, don't feel like you can't ask me. I would openly talk about it. Someone would say to me like, oh, you got your hair cut or whatever, and they genuinely would know, and I was like, no, you know, and they'd be shocked, but I'd be like so used to saying it that it wouldn't be a big thing to me. But I think it's good to be able to raise the awareness, but it took a long time to get here. So like if there's anyone watching and they're in the same boat and they're like absolutely terrified for anyone to know, I thought my whole world would end if I did. And honestly, like it just took the biggest weight off me. And I just feel I can enjoy life more now, and I'm not constantly worrying, because that's all my worries 24/7 were my wig. Does anyone think it's a wig? Do I look like I'm wearing a wig? Will my wig fall off? that, like, it's an awful way for anyone to live,
Yeah.
to you know, feel that. But I've gotten so much more comfortable being bald, and yeah, I just, you know, take this off now. But it wouldn't bother me anymore. Yeah, it wouldn't bother me anymore. Like, I still, like, I look at that now and I think we're both still absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Which is really weird for me to say, because I, like, my self-confidence was so low a few years ago. But it's just like, I suppose, putting yourself around the people that, you know, support you, and that, you know, this is who you are. Like, and like, sometimes now, like, my family or friends would, like, make jokes, like, you know, if there was about hair or whatever, and my son would be going around, he'd be brushing everyone's hair, and I'd be like, will you brush my hair? And just things like that. It's you know, it's something that we can't let control our life, and it did for me for so long.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, and it does, I know, looking back now, it doesn't matter what someone told me back then, it wouldn't have made any difference. I was going to have to go through that.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
that's very, very true. Is it's
comment.
something you definitely have to ease into, kind of
Yeah.
becoming open about. For most people, I can imagine. Because my story is very similar as well. I used to be very secretive about it, and then one day I was like, I'm done hiding this. I'm going to just post it on Facebook. Almost the exact same story as yours. And did you feel like people's reactions were positive? Were you kind of surprised by the amount of support you got from people?
Very. Yeah, I was very surprised. Like, I don't think, like, I've had the couple odd here and there, but I remember when I first came out, it was just hundreds of, you know, supportive people, and people that I mightn't have talked to for years and years and years. And some people being like, oh my God, I didn't know you were going through this. Or one or two being like, okay, we knew, but we you know, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to say. And I was like, you know, like, always talk to someone about it. You know, some people might be a little bit, I always, you know what, if I see someone and I think I wear a wig, we nearly have wig radar, like, we kind of tell, even if they're the best wigs in the world. But if I see someone with a wig, I will go out of my way to be like, oh my God, your hair is fabulous, it's gorgeous. And sometimes, like, I've had one or two people tell me it's wig, or most of the time they just be like, oh, thank you. But I can see in them that they get that bit of, you know, they feel like, oh, someone doesn't think it's a wig, and you know, delighted with themselves. And I remember being at that stage that it was just so but it's so funny now, if someone does compliment my hair, I nearly overshare it. I'm like, well, I've actually got alopecia. They're like, okay, I just said your hair was like, oh, relax yourself.
Sometimes I get that reaction too. I'm like, okay, you didn't have to tell me all
your life story. Yeah. What about you? Do you have anyone that asks you, or are you open with talking?
Sometimes if someone just compliments my hair, I'll say, thanks, it's a wig.
Yeah.
And just like you said, sometimes they're just like, okay, like, that's too much information.
Yeah.
But then they're really fascinated by it. Like, oh, that's amazing. I had no idea, because some of them look so realistic. Like the one we were just wearing a minute ago has like the really nice monofilament wig cap and the lace front, which makes it look so natural looking. So people see that. Sometimes I've had the experience where I've told someone it's a wig and they're like, no, it's not. I can see your hairline. Like, they think I'm joking or something.
But great.
Can be so realistic.
Yeah.
And I would say the kind of reverse situation that you were describing is sometimes I'll see someone out and about in public, and like you were saying, you kind of have a wig radar, no matter how realistic it looks. Sometimes you just know, like, you notice like the little things most people wouldn't notice. But then I never know what to do in that situation, because I never want to make them feel like it looks like a wig. Because it's not like it looks like a wig, it's that I could just tell because I have that wig radar, like you were describing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's either just smile and move on, or, you know, say your hair looks nice. And I used to be like, when people said my hair looks nice, I was like, they're trying to say it's a wig. Like, I was so paranoid, like, it was ridiculous. But, you know, I'm going to put on the Alexander wig, if that's okay.
Yeah,
I was sent Avalon, and I absolutely love her. As I said, this would have been like my bio color, so it would have been like a dark brown. And I remember the Alexander Turnbull, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
I only came across him a while ago on the René of Paris. Like, I didn't actually know he had his own collection. He actually did things like that. And I find his videos very interesting for anyone who's watching and wants good wig videos with synthetic and human, because sometimes just human and it's like, well, what about synthetic? But I just find his like work just really easy to understand and step by step. So when I realized collection, I was like, oh, okay, I want to try one of them.
Yeah, he has a
Um,
fantastic line, the René of Paris Alexander Collection, and he has a lot of the tutorials, specifically wig tutorials on our channel, René of Paris, both with synthetic and human hair. Because like you were describing, sometimes you can see like a hair tutorial on someone's actual hair, but you're like, how
yeah,
would I apply that to a wig? So it's a nice way to kind of see,
exactly.
and specifically
So when he
synthetic as
has it,
well.
yeah, he does it really well, and like even just kind of showing that you can do such glamorous styles, like with just such, with a synthetic wig, it doesn't have to cost, an arm and a leg. You can just make the most of what you have and get different styles and things out of it.
Exactly.
Sure, there's plenty of
Yeah.
ways to wear this, but I just think she's just really, really cute. And like I had her up the other day, and I just love the kind of bits at the front.
Yes,
I just think they're
definitely.
really,
I
really
love
pretty.
doing that, pulling the hair back and just leaving the little like
Yeah, I
face-saving layers in the front.
think,
It's just
yeah,
like
and I love the
weird.
fact that the two sides have it, because sometimes it's only one side, and I'm like, it looks a bit silly, because then you want them both sides. What color is that you're wearing? It's lovely.
So this is Spring Honey R. It's funny because I was just wearing Spring Honey T, and now I'm wearing Spring Honey
Oh,
R. I feel like that's a really good example of if you want to go from straight hair to curly hair, instead of curling
yeah,
wig you have, just switching wigs to a similar
yeah,
length. Just today I want to have curly hair.
exactly. Yeah, and I think, the difference in the lengths as well, like I think this is it's longer than the other one. And I feel it's a bit maybe fuller than the other one.
A little bit, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But it's nice to have, because sometimes you want the lighter wig, and to have the option to actually have the lighter wig on. But it's the same, it's like the cap is very, very, like the cap would be very comfortable.
Mhm.
So I just find that, and I find like when it's that kind of a cap and just the front here, that it's just it's easier to part it and things like that. And I think she's just gorgeous, like just the length.
Yeah, it's so lovely. And yes, so this is the kind of cap that gives it a little bit of extra volume because it's the machine tied cap with the lace front.
Okay.
So you still have that natural looking lace in the front, so it looks like it's growing out of your scalp. But then this type of wig cap also gives you that kind of added volume, which is really nice for a really kind of done up look. So this one looks like it was just gorgeously styled out of the salon, but all you have to do is take it out of a box and put it on and you're ready to go.
Exactly. And it's just lovely to having that option, like, because some of them you do have to, if you want to kind of get the glam look, you do have to do a bit with them. But I think the synthetic, like I was always a human hair wig girl, and then it just became very expensive to get the human hair, so I just kind of switched to synthetic. And I was like, what have I been doing? Like, I have been styling things for years and wasting my time, and now I can just get 3 or 4 for the price of one and pop them on, like. So it's just so nice to have the option. I just feel like she's very full, and it's nearly like she has like a mint and a hairspray in her, and they stay that way.
So trying to achieve curls this nice on like a human hair wig would probably be a little bit more time consuming, like getting the nice curls, keeping it with the hairspray, whereas with the synthetic you can just put it on and it keeps the curls, whether it's humid, whether it's raining or something, it'll always dry just as like it came in the box in the first place.
With the human hair, if you're doing any kind of exercise or if there's any kind of heat, they tend to fall out easier and your style tends to change. But with the synthetic, it's literally when you put it on and take it off at night, it's the exact same, like, which is brilliant.
Exactly. I'm going to read some of these comments we're getting because I just want to make sure we're not missing any questions. Someone said, a 15-year-old has lost all her hair to alopecia. We are struggling with wigs and the best ones to choose that won't come off without taping them on. So in my experience, and you can tell me if you agree with this, I find that like the wigs that we're wearing right now with the René of Paris caps, it's all about the cap construction and making sure it fits your head properly. So these I can just put on my head directly. I don't wear a wig cap. As long as the adjustments at the nape of the neck are adjusted to the right size, I find that I can move around. I can do cartwheels even and it'll stay on without any sort of wig glue or wig tape. So you can see the adjustments on the back here. As long as it's adjusted to the right size, then I find that they stay on without any sort of glue or tape or anything. Do you find that the same?
Yeah, like definitely. I have a load of different caps, but definitely these two, I have definitely found that these two particular ones are very, very secure, like just ridiculously secure. And I don't have to wear my wig grip with these where I would have to with other ones. And I find sometimes,
like you were saying before, wig grips can still be nice for an added layer of comfort. So that
so it kind of depends, I suppose. But definitely with these two, you could go without a wig grip if you're usually wearing a wig grip, because I know myself sometimes when it's warm, and there's a wig grip, you can, you know, it can be quite heavy, you can get headaches, and it's just nice to have the option not to wear it. But this kind of snugs all over your head. And I find with some that like they kind of lift a little bit at the front. So as you can see, like that's completely flat, where some would lift a little bit. So you can, it's nearly like you can't hide that it's a wig sometimes. So you kind of have to part it in a certain way. And you have to put the tape down. But for these, definitely, like René of Paris has been one that I've always found, like even Riley would be one that was always very secure. And I think that's what you want when you're feeling a little unconfident with it and you want it to stay. Definitely the cap construction is 100%. And as you said, like yourself and the team there at René of Paris, very knowledgeable. And, you know, anytime I messaged, like I've been wearing their wigs for years, anytime I've messaged, it's always very easy to get someone, and it's very informative and helpful. And there's loads of stuff on the website like as well. So if you're worried about shape or structure or what head size you are, anything. And also I always tend to go for an average size cap, because I feel like if you're that little bit bigger, you can widen it, and if you're that bit smaller, you can tighten it. And honestly, it's so secure then. And then you don't have to tighten it again, because once you've done it once, unless your head is growing, you're fine.
So it's really about checking those straps in the back of the wig cap, and generally I think they will fit most people. Like there are large cap wigs and petite size cap wigs and everything, but I think the ones with René of Paris have a pretty good range that I think they would fit a lot of head sizes as well. And then if needed, adding the wig grip, for example, is really nice just for that added layer of grip. But I love the René of Paris wigs, especially like the Amore line, for example, the fact that it's made for people with hair loss. It's so nice in the morning to just be able to throw it on and go out the door and not worry about having to glue it, tape it, make sure it looks natural, because I just trust that it will look natural without any added effort. And that's something that's so great for me. I think some people that wear them for fashion, they're okay with taking those extra steps if they want to like really spend time on it one day, but being able to just throw it on and go out the door is just such a time saver.
I don't like, especially like I have a child, so if anyone watches this as children, or you know, you just do not have the time to be fixing these things in the morning. Like I'd say, even if I had proper bio hair, there was no problem, I had no hair loss, my hair would just be always tied up because I wouldn't have the time or effort. So actually having the chance of wearing wigs and being able to have a style without doing absolutely anything is just fabulous. And then being able to take it off at the end of the night without having to remove all the glue and all this and clean it the next time is just, you know, game changer. So much easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like we were saying with synthetic wigs too, the fact that they hold their style, you could just throw it on. Like these lovely curls, we didn't have to sit there for hours with the curling iron.
Get frustrated. And the smell of burning. There's no smell of burning. It's great.
Yeah.
You know, when you curl your hair, sometimes the smell, it's like awful. No.
Yeah, definitely.
So there
So do you find
pros. There are pros to hair loss.
Exactly.
You know, you have to kind of look at that instead of the cons.
It opens the whole world of like wigs and hairstyles that it's like surprising. Once you get into it and find what works for you, it just makes it so fun after all that.
Exactly.
So do you find you like to experiment a lot with styles? Do you ever play around with different colors, or do you like to stick with like brunettes just in different styles? Yeah,
so like I actually have a friend sent me a lovely one. She sent me it's a René of Paris, and I cannot think of the name. It's one of the newer ones, and it's in like a reddy colour. Give me 1 second, I'll actually have a look. Give me a second.
Yeah, sure, and I'm sure anyone watching this too can go check out your page later. By the way, anyone who's not following Jane, please go follow her as well if you want to stay up to date with all of her wig styling.
It's Sage.
Sage.
It's Sage.
I love Sage.
Yeah, so she sent me Sage, and it's in shaded amber.
That is a beautiful color.
Yeah. I was dying to try Sage, and you know what it is, like it just would. She's one I'd have to like have my makeup done a certain way to wear, but she'd be stunning, you know, that kind of way. She is beautiful.
I've never tried that color myself before, and that is gorgeous.
I wanted to try. I was like, do you know what? I'll try something different. And it is lovely on, but I think I have quite pale skin, and if I was to wear it without a little bit of makeup or even tinted moisturizer, it would just be very draining, the color. But definitely, like with makeup, it's stunning. Like, and it is lovely to have again that option. Like when you're going out and you're like, oh, what color will I wear? But it wouldn't bother me going out with totally different color than the day before. Like,
Yeah,
I
and that looks
some
so
people,
beautiful.
yeah, some people who don't know are probably like, what is going
Yeah, like
on
how is she
here?
doing that?
Yeah,
Because
what?
sometimes I'll be in like I was on a cruise recently and I met some people and the next day I had blue hair and they were like, did you just do that on this cruise?
Yeah, like,
like how did you dye your hair on a boat?
yeah, it's like, are you not enjoying your holiday? Are you like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is.
That's
It's
so
great.
cool.
Like, and I've seen yourself and a few people wearing like, and you know, the kind of the purpley colors and the I've seen people with mermaid colors and I'm like, wow. Like, and it's lovely because it's like you have no idea what will suit you. And I'd love, like, I remember seeing one of the couple of the girls, I think it was in England, and they were having like a wig party. So they were at a house and they had wine and they all brought their wigs and they were all trying them on, which I thought was brilliant,
That
like for the
sounds
colors.
so fun.
I was like, we need one of them everywhere, like everywhere. Or once a year we all gather somewhere and just bring our wigs and we all try them on, and you know, because you just don't know what will fit you. And it's like I wouldn't have thought, I would never have thought blonde would suit me at all. And then when I was sent a couple of blonde wigs, I was like, oh, you know what? That's, you know, not so bad.
Yeah, it's an
Um,
opportunity to try something new without having to commit to bleaching your actual hair if you had hair of your own or something. It's really nice.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
you're getting the best of all worlds, and then you're getting to see other people doing it, and you're getting to see kind of, um, you know, and there's girls, there's so many girls out there with alopecia, like, and lads, but it's brilliant how we're able to kind of communicate to each other now, and you know, it's not a lonely place anymore.
Yeah.
And I think you have to, like, if somebody's on Instagram and they're putting out there that they're bald or they're losing their hair and they're sharing awareness and they're wearing wigs and things, never feel afraid to write to them. Like, I love when people write to me because I'm like, I wish I had had someone to write to when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just even like I've had parents come on chatting to me and being like, my daughter or my son or whoever has alopecia, and I'm like, oh my god, that was the age I lost it, or you know, and it's just nice to be able to say, right, well, this was what I would have appreciated, and like this
Yeah.
might help. Everyone is totally different, but at the same time, it's that you know, it's that feeling that we've all had at some stage. I don't think anyone gets alopecia and is like, woohoo, like,
Yeah.
wigs, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
It takes a long time,
Mhm.
and some people actually never get there, which is sad, because I look back and I think, oh, the years I've wasted, you know, feeling bad and things, and I could have been doing this, that, and the other. But then I think to myself, what if I'd never gotten to this place? Like, I could
Yeah.
still be in that place.
Mhm.
So it's kind of just taking it step by step, and you're
Yeah.
not going to be at the same level as anyone else and at the same place as anyone else. And there's no time limit on it. Just, you know, it's your own journey. But do,
Exactly.
like, oh, people should feel okay to like reach out, because it's something that, you know, talking really does help. And as I say, we should have like massive wig parties and wine and
Yeah.
all that. You know, just make it a comfortable environment to be
Exactly.
in.
It's just amazing what the online alopecia communities have been able to accomplish. Because I guess before having these communities online, it's a very isolating experience to start to lose your hair. Nobody in the world around you is going through the same thing, because it's a pretty small
Yeah,
percentage of the population. And then to join like Instagram and see all these other alopecia focused accounts, it's just so eye-opening, just to realize you're not alone in it. There's other people going through the same things. I constantly am learning so much about wigs and alopecia and makeup products for alopecia from other people that I
yeah.
follow. It's just such an amazing and supportive community. And someone just asked, what do you do for your eyebrows? So do you have specific makeup routines that are used, or products that you
So
like?
I got eyebrow tattoos on, and that was years ago. So they're a little bit there, but they're faded. But I use, and I absolutely love, and you can get them in all colors. I use the eyebrow transfers. So
Oh, like
I
the
know,
temporary tattoos type
yeah,
of thing.
So a few of the girls do them. Sarah Lena does them. Farah M London, for anyone who, these are all great people to follow.
Definitely.
And you can get them on Amazon, and they're absolutely brilliant. Like I've said it, and I need to come on and do a tutorial because they're just so simple. Literally 2 minutes and you're out the door, and they're so reasonably priced. Like they really are. Like they're just,
Yeah.
you get about 2 sheets maybe for €4 or €5 or £4 or £5, and so reasonable, and they last. Like some people's do last 2 or 3 days. Now mine personally, because I've oily skin and I get really warm really easily, they do come off after a day, but a day is amazing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I find myself switching up my eyebrows multiple times throughout the day sometimes. I just use pencil because I like the flexibility with being able to change the shape and the style.
Yeah.
But I have tried the transfers a few times, and I really liked how easy they were. I just haven't quite found the right stencil like shape that I like.
Shape, yeah.
But I think that's something, after a little bit of experimenting, I think that's such a really great, easy, fast way to put them on and not have to think about the shape and style.
Yeah, like even if you do have eyebrows, or if you have like sparse eyebrows, they do work. You just have to, take a little bit, maybe another extra minute or two to put them on. But if there's a lot of people and they've thinning hair there, or some people just have really skinny eyebrows anyway, and they just want to bulk them up. So they're just a great kind of thing out there. Like I just thought they were. I remember somebody, I don't know what, something came out with like wigs for eyebrows, and I was like, oh Lord. So I was like, I'll get wet and it'll be gone, and I have one on and one off. But these literally, they do not come off. You do get 12 hours out of them. You will get you could get longer, but for someone like me, who has oily skin, you're going to get that little bit less. But they're just a game changer. Like all these things, are just, and there's
so many different products are available.
Yeah.
So people who prefer to use a pencil have that option. There's pomades, the temporary tattoos. It's amazing. And I forgot we were just talking about eyebrows a minute ago, and I forgot yours weren't real because they look so natural.
Yeah, people be like to me, how do you do your eyebrows? And I'm like, well, I stick them on, and they're like looking at me like I'm an absolutely crazy person. Because there are a lot of women out there that do have that have no hair loss at all, but do have sparse eyebrows, and that's just, it's the way. And I think when you get older as well, they kind of just disappear. So we're just ahead of the time.
Exactly. And then
and we're more prepared
from our techniques that we use.
Exactly. But it's great to have like the Instagram community there, because if you don't know how to do something, there is someone that can do everything. Like, we have different people online. Like there's Danny, who's able to put eyebrows on with pencils, like done. There's Alopecia and me, Jen, and she's just amazing with tapes. She knows everything about tapes, like which tape for this and which tape for that. Like there's just so many girls online that have so much to offer, and just able to take things from everyone and just kind of stick them all together and have your alopecia guidebook. I'm telling you, like we need to all come together and make one. But
I'm constantly changing my eyebrow method because there's so many options out there. I'll see someone use a certain product and I'm like, wow, that looks so easy, and then I switch it like every few months practically.
But it's great that we can. It's great that you can, and you're confident enough to be able to do that, and to have these resources to see this being done. Because if someone said, I do this, that, and the other, you're not going to be able to do it. You have to visually, like I do, I have to visually see somebody doing it, step by step, pausing every kind of couple of seconds. But it's so handy. And then you can actually interact with the person and be like, which did you use, or what product do you use? It's just brilliant. It's like such a quick and easy way to kind of get questions answered and learn.
Exactly. All these little makeup techniques can be so helpful with just covering lack of eyelashes. I also wear the fake eyelashes with lash glue too. And like you were saying before, that can be a little bit of a thing to adjust to doing. But once you learn kind of the techniques of what lash glue to use, what lashes fit your face shape, then it becomes much easier.
And we'd be more sensitive to certain eyelash glues because we have no hair there at all, and it's like if it gets in your eye, dear God, it is horrendous. So it was a while I had to literally, and a lot of the time people with autoimmune disease like alopecia and things are quite sensitive, like their skin's kind of sensitive. So I was just like in bits and my eyes were bulging out and I was like, this isn't worth it. And then like again online there was people saying this one's for sensitive skin and this, and you just, what works for you might not work for someone else and vice versa, but it's just experimenting. And you know, everything is reasonably priced, you know, eyelash glues and all these things. They're not, you know, that expensive, and it's great because it's not an added kind of stress on top of having the hair loss where you're, you know, financially. So it is great that there are synthetic wigs which are more affordable, and then high heat fiber and different things like that. Whereas years ago, a lot of it was just kind of had to get a human hair wig, and you know, there wasn't really talk of others. So it is great.
Yeah, synthetic wigs definitely, I think, have come a long way, just in terms of having like modern looking styles, endless style options, endless color options. Like the fact that earlier you were wearing a brunette with a little bit of highlight, and now you're wearing a brunette, well, that's more like a flat, straight brunette. It's just the amount of like little tiny changes is between so many different color options. There are so many different versions. Like this is Spring Honey Rooted, which is with the dark roots on top. This is not rooted, but it's Spring Honey Tea, so it has like a lighter tip on the end. There's just so many little things that you can customize and find. Just having any option that you would have wanted to do on your own hair, you can find that in a wig.
Yeah, and I think like I didn't realize until again I was looking online to see what colors they had. Like there's usually at least like 14 to 16 colors. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of minimum nearly. And it's just brilliant. It's like there is literally a color for everyone. And if you like get on your website or whatever and type it in, you can see somebody wearing it, and it's just it's really easy to kind of know, okay, well that would be kind of what I would want and things. Because it's very hard to be like, see a little picture and be like, oh, I wonder what that color would look like on the way. You kind of have to see it in action. But it's great to have like the videos and the people online to be able to see the difference.
I find that like any wig color that I want to see on a person, I can pretty much find that color searching on YouTube or just searching on Google. I can find a person who's posted a review of it, and I can see what it really looks like, which is really helpful compared to seeing
it could be very different. The color, if you're looking at a color like sample, even if it's in your hand and you can see it, like it's very different too. Sure, even you showing the straight and the curly, there's, you know, even the tiniest bits of difference in colors. Like it just depends on the actual wig itself and the kind of look. But yeah, no, it is great to be able to do that and to see it on someone, because you know, it just helps. Really does.
Yeah, definitely. And anyone watching who's interested in the wigs that we're wearing right now, so we're both wearing Avalon from the Alexander Couture Collection. Mine is in Spring Honey Rooted. Do you know which color yours is?
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. That's one of my favorite brunette colors because it's just such a gorgeous, nice, natural-looking brunette.
Right.
And then earlier we were both wearing Arden from the Amore Collection. So that one's also really fantastic. And also, if anyone's curious about these styles or finding a style that works for you, if you go on reneeofparis.com, there's a style finder. So you can put in any sort of preferences you're looking for. Like if you have a preferred cap construction, you can select that. If you're looking for a medium length curly wig, you can select all those little details, and it'll show you a list of all the wig options available. And then you can see all the different color options available for each wig as well. So there's so many options to choose from to find something that you're looking for.
That's really handy. I think if a company is selling wigs, they should have a good website, because I just think that is your basis where you can. It's great the Instagram and stuff, but if you're physically looking to go and buy, if you're able to do that, it's really good. It makes it a lot easier for you to kind of see what you need.
Yeah. To narrow it down, because there's endless options out there. Just kind of narrow it down to exactly the style, color, cap construction that you're looking for. Just makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. Anything to make life a little bit easier. We're all happy.
Exactly. So before we end this live stream, first of all, thank you so much for coming on here and joining us and talking about your experience.
Thank you for having me.
Alopecia. This has been a really nice conversation to have, and I'm sure it'll help a lot of people watching this who are either starting to go through the same thing or know someone going through the same thing. Are there any kind of final closing words you want to say, advice to anyone who's maybe just starting to lose their hair?
No, just again, I'm very for like, just be you. Like, you know, if we were all the same, it would be extremely boring, and hence the different wigs every 10 minutes. But it's just about knowing that, you know, hair loss is such a wide thing, and you mightn't be going through the same thing as someone else, but you know, we're all here, we're all supportive, and like absolutely anyone that's online putting themselves out there is there to talk to. So make sure you just use the people, and you know, don't feel afraid to come to someone, because we've all been there. You know, we would never judge. We've been there, and we know how hard it is. And it doesn't matter if you're at stage 1 or you're at stage 50, or you know, we remember those stages. Like, you just don't forget it, because you know it was tough, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it does get easier, and there's an amazing group of women out there, and just lean on them. And men, just lean on them, because you know, that's what they're there for, and we're all willing to help.
Supportive community. And I think we all kind of want to be that person for someone else starting to go through it that we didn't get to have when we first developed alopecia. So it's just a really amazing and supportive community. I'm sure a lot of people's DMs are always open for questions, mine as well as yours too. And yeah, so for anyone just joining this live stream who maybe joined late and wants to go back and watch it from the beginning, we post all of our live streams on our Instagram, René of Paris. You can rewatch from the beginning there. And if you have any questions that come up throughout that, you can comment there and we can answer any questions later. And definitely go follow Jane on Instagram as well. So Jane Reed too. So yes, amazing content.
Thanks so much, Abby.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you
For joining. And I'll talk to you very
soon.
Have
a good Friday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.